Good morning from Cairo. It's nearly 8 a.m. now. Could you please introduce yourself and what do you do for business and what time is it on your side?
Hi, Nour. I am from the Philippines, and today's Thursday, and it's around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My name is Lourdes de Vera. I am a nurse and a psychologist by profession, but right now my occupation is I'm a full-time author and artist. I have written around 50 books. Two of them have been published, and one of them won a national award for the best book for the youth and the child. And it received a very high rating from different professors nationwide, and it was also given a very good rating by different pediatricians and educators in the country. Then the other book that I've written is about the art of dying, which is a sequence. It tells you about the sequence of dying, how the dying people go through with it. And it comes with two other books, The Art in Caring and The Art Called Death. I've been a clinical instructor for more than 10 years. Clinical instructor means a nursing professor for intensive care unit. And I have also been teaching other subjects, and that includes foreign language and English.
Yeah, awesome.
As an artist, I've been painting for some time, but normally my art have always been for personal use only, but it has been exhibited. That's it.
Yeah, fantastic. Is the plateau or the painting behind you done by you?
Yes, it is done by me.
Yeah, it's awesome. Fantastic. So let's go to the first question. What is the art of sex about?
The art of sex is actually all about relationships, a relationship between a man and a woman. The title itself is quite glaring, but it only means to say sex refers to gender, male and female. All other genders, when you speak of transgender, there are a lot of things. So the title of the book itself limits the discussion to a male and female gender, not in between. It talks about the intimacy, how people relate with one another, and intimacy has different dimensions. You have emotional,
Yeah.
The art of sex tells you about the challenge of intimacy, how people build relationships are determined by the ability to be able to connect with each other. And connecting with people comes with learning how to share oneself, not just on a physical level, but on emotional, psychological, spiritual level that make the bond stronger between two people.
Why did you decide to write that book, Maria?
Oh, that book actually was requested for me. It was requested for me, and the title was also requested. It was given, and it was intended for overseas Filipino workers. Most of them are having difficulties with their relationships, and they asked me to write something about it. They gave me the title, The Art of Sex, because number one, all of my books follow the art. So my first book is Art and Creation. Second book is Art of Dying. Then you have Art of Caring, Art Called Death, and this is the fifth book. They said it will follow the style of your writing, the art of sex. It's a little bit glaring, but I think it is it fits the sequence of my title.
Yeah, fantastic. What do you think the results or the effects of your book are?
It depends which book.
We are speaking about the art of sex.
The art of sex, actually, people are not comfortable going to psychologists or psychiatrists right away when they do have difficulties or emotional issues. But this book will
Mhm.
tell you of the many things that most couples, friends, or even as an individual go through with the idea of intimacy. Because intimacy does not only mean having a relationship, intimacy also means your relationship with yourself, being able to journey back and look at the past. Did you have any emotional setbacks in life, in childhood? And all these things will come back again in adult life, and that will determine how you relate with your partner. For example, women who have been emotionally battered in childhood will have, again, will experience once again, they tend to have the same difficulties in future relationships. So these things are bottled up in the past, which resurface in the future. And that can cause a serious problem in relationships in the future. Same thing with sexually abused, both male and female children. They do have problems with self-esteem and expression, which is one of the many problems that most couples do experience in the future when they get into a relationship.
Let me ask you another question here. Like, is your book about Philippines mainly, or does it cover this issue worldwide?
It covers worldwide because child abuse, emotional abuse is a common issue for everyone, regardless of culture, regardless of age, regardless of social status. We do experience all of this. The only difference is it depends from culture to culture, society to community, whether they address the problem upfront or they keep it to themselves.
Okay.
So as a language that is best understood, the book, the art of text, it's written in a very casual way, in a very common language. I did not use any medical jargon in it. So it, it speaks of experiences wherein people can relate to it. People can identify oneself in the story. So this book contains all of the people that I have handled in time, the experiences, because I've been a counselor doing counseling with a lot of people from different countries. I've been talking with them, and based on that experience, I was able to come up with a book that tells you all of the issues are common to us all, whether it's emotional or physical.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let me ask you this question. Is the book mainly or more about your personal opinion, or is it more based on facts and statistics around the world?
It is based on statistics around the world and the common responses that I did get from different people from different cultures.
How do you feel after you have given the world this book?
I feel happy about it because it's simply written, and when I wrote it, it just meant to connect people. That's all.
Let's move to education, and you use creative arts with the children. How do you do that?
Music, dance, sculpture, architecture. Now, these are artistic activities. The question is, how do you use it for children? How do you use this expressive method to be able to help children to develop and to build something in the future? So let's begin with music. Music is something most children can connect with. Children will sing easily. So when you group children to sing, they're able to learn the value of listening and coordination. Because if you don't listen, you cannot perform as a group. So music It's social learning. You can use that for people, for children, to understand the meaning of harmony and teamwork. Now, when we talk about sculpture, sculpture is an art. It's a different art. It takes the hands, the will to create something out of something. When you use sculpture or clay modeling to children, you allow them to touch the soil, to touch clay. And in a way, you teach children how to appreciate the land that they have. What can they do with land? Aside from till or plant, you can also use it as a creative expression of what you think. It objectifies the idea within the child. So that is with clay modeling and sculpture. Now with painting, you use colors, and with colors, you can connect it with feelings. Like red, you feel, what do you feel when you see red? When you see blue? When you see green? So children are able to express their feelings through the use of colors. And when you ask them to create an activity, a painting, you teach children how to appreciate one another for what they've done. The competition each other is able to do, and we're able to affirm the goodness in each other. So when you use art in school, you help the children to identify what is good in that particular artistic work.
Let me ask you this question, Maria. Like you mentioned, art, music, sculpture, and a lot of these artistical hobbies and work. But let's say that some students may take that as a hobby, and at the end of the day, they are not progressing in their own learning. How would you see this idea?
You should have, not only is it is just a tool. When I say a tool, it is a means to an end. So you will still have an organized concept of teaching, learning goals. So for example, um, combining chemistry and colors. All the different components in chemistry, the different chemicals have a particular color coding. So when you ask the children, I mean, when we talk about children, the younger ones, you don't teach them yet about everything about the chemical composition. But first of all, they have to learn or to identify the chemicals. And with the use of colors, they're able to see the beauty combined with scientific knowledge.
So if we are going to use art, sculpture, and this in an educational context, it means we are telling the students, you are not doing this for fun, you are not doing this for the usual way you do it, you are doing it for a study reason.
Yes,
Doesn't that take the fun out of these activities?
no. That's what you call finding fun in creativity. If you remember Einstein, imagination is very important. So if children are given hard facts, I mean in childhood, then they are not able to reason out or to think beyond the boundaries of philosophy or rules. For you to understand it deeper is for the person or for the child to develop insight. So through the art, you're able to help the child to imagine and expand and to understand the deeper implications of the principles in chemistry, physics, because it takes a lot of imagination to understand it. These are abstract, heavy abstract teachings.
So let me ask you this other question. Like, okay, usually children would naturally play, would naturally follow their hobbies, would naturally go home or even at school and follow what they like. But at the end of the day, they have been doing this all their lives, and it hasn't contributed to their being better at their education. How would you look at this point?
Um, you should be able to, what do you call this? Ladderize, which means you should be able to break down the learning concept from big to small, and every concept the child has to be able to finish it. It's the same with theoretical teaching. The only difference is the method. Theoretical teaching is objective. You use the mind, but with the creative thinking, you use both the mind and the creativity of the child. And that is only applicable to the lower school because as they grow up, the needs of the child will change. So when they reach upper school, they need more reason, they need more philosophy to understand life. But when they are children, they need to learn more doing the hands, using the hands and doing a lot of things.
Yeah, fantastic. So mainly do you discuss or do you propose these ideas from a theoretical point of view, or do you support it with how it can be practiced inside the classroom?
Yes, I have done that already. And in the book, The Art and the Creation Stories, it is actually not only a book, but it is also a manual on how to teach painting in the classroom using painting materials, basic materials, to be able to deliver a concept combining both religion and sciences. So that's what it is.
So do you think that applying that creative arts method in the schools require consciousness and awareness on the side of the students only, or does it need more support to the teachers themselves to understand what they are going to do?
Creative, you should have an understanding of the implication of arts on education. And number two, you should be able to understand the development of children. Combining both, and that makes you a good teacher in using the creative arts method in teaching.
Yeah, fascinating. Let's go to the more important idea, art and the creation stories. What is this book about?
Actually, that book was requested from me to be written. And the book is all about using painting in the classroom. Painting is a tool, is a method. And the subject matter is creation stories. You can also use different kinds of creation stories depending on your culture, on your own religion. But in this particular book, I was asked to use the creation stories of the Bible, which is Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and using painting as a method to be able to develop in the child thinking and creativity all at the same time. So, first of all, the child learns how to mix color. Red plus blue makes what color? Red and orange, red and yellow makes what color? So you allow the child to explore creation. So when you create something like on the first day of the creation, there was darkness. So you allow the child to paint something dark. You follow the sequence of the creation stories and you follow the painting along with it for the child to be able to express in artistic way what he reads. And you also allow the child to write what he understands. And at the end of the course, the child is able to come up with a book that is based on how he understood and how he implemented the artistic way.
So let me ask you this question, like you speak about creative arts, you speak about painting, sculpture, and all of these areas. Don't you think that you are much aligned to these students who like art and like touching things? What about the students who think more scientifically or more mathematically?
Yes, you have to think that there are three divisions of the education. You have lower school, middle school, and upper school, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so with lower school, children tend to play more. So my forte goes with the lower school, and I do a lot of things with children. Not so much with reasoning, but you allow them to feel the world around them by touching things. It develops the sensory motors of the children. Now, when you go to middle school, the priority of learning will change according to the development of the child. So you divert, you change, or you metamorphose to the next thing. That is the time when you do the the what do you call it? You're asking about mathematical side. So yeah, you align according to the development of the child.
So
And when
you,
the child,
yeah. Go ahead, Maria. Go ahead.
sorry, so when the child goes to upper school, so they should be more interested with philosophy and all this stuff. So upper school would mean grade 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this is the stage wherein they ask a lot about politics, a lot about philosophy. So that's about the time that you discuss it with them at this age. Because in childhood, they're much more into, I mean, childhood, lower school, they are much more into play, they are much more into doing things. So you align your teaching according to the development of the child.
Yeah. Okay. And now you have done a lot to the children. What kind of principles, or let's say psychological developmental factors you have depended on while writing your books? How?
Well,
Yeah.
the philosophies that I have used in writing the book are, I use the developmental psychology, and I also use the anthroposophy, which tells you about the development of the consciousness of the child. I also use Eric Erikson,
Mm-hmm.
psychosocial, and a lot of other psychologists as well. But mainly, I based most of my writings on anthroposophy and on Eric Erikson.
Could you please explain some of the main principles you have depended on while writing your books for children?
Yes, anthroposophy tells you about
Go ahead.
when you talk about the development of the child, there are many philosophies that tell you how the child develops, but all children will follow a certain course of development. So from age the lower school, so that would mean grades 1 to 4. These are the main skills that the children are developing. So based on these developmental skills, you focus on that, you develop on that, so that when they get to the next stage, which is middle school, they are much more prepared in handling or developing this particular skills. So actually, if you look at all the developmental psychologists and also psychologists, they are all in harmony with one another. It's just the difference is from the perspective of every psychologist, they have different angle. So with Eric Erikson, the he is much more with the psychosocial development of the child. With anthroposophy, you also have the aspect of arts and all the consciousness of the child. And of course, other psychologists will come into place depending on which angle you want to take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's move to another area. What is the art of dying about?
The art of dying is a story that tells you about the sequence of death. When a person goes through dying, dying and death are two different things. Dying is the process that leads you towards death. Death is a final thing. So the art of dying tells you, like, what are the thoughts a dying person encounters. So that.
Why did you decide to write about something like that?
Most of the books that I've been writing are either requested or of interest to other people. So when I wrote this one, I have been into, I was an ICU nurse and I've been watching a lot of people die. So caring for the dying and the process of dying are two different things. So the art of dying tells you about the process of dying. What are the things, physical symptoms that the dying person normally experience? And what are the thoughts? What is important to a dying person? That's it.
What do you want people to understand when they read the book?
What I want people to understand is to value life, love, and living. You only have, life is a journey. You only have a journey to enjoy, to cherish. We may live with, there are religions, there are philosophies that will tell you of another life. But what is important is your current life, because you will not relive it again. So make the most out of it, live in the current, be present to the present time. That is what I mean when I wrote it. Cherish the people around you, make the most out of your life, and life is still beautiful no matter what is happening around you. It's how you cherish what you have.
What are the main, let's say, mistakes of the people that the book raises their consciousness about, their awareness about?
Okay. One of the things that is written in the book is the importance of childhood. Childhood is a memorable time. It's it's a time wherein you enjoy your relationship with your parents or other significant people. This will only come once. To make the most out of your childhood. And as parents, be the kind of parent that will support your child. Because when you reach the end stage of life, when you look back, because we human beings, we would always try to evaluate our own selves. When you look back, the art of dying is also the search for meaning in life. In short, I would say the art of dying only means life, love, living. Cherish your life, be loving, and live your life to the fullest. Which means when I say live life to the fullest, it doesn't mean to say indulgence, but it means to say make the most out of your life, live it in the present. And you learn from that. You cannot alter your past. Things that you are not responsible for, learn from it. And the future is yet to be written. So live in the current times. You can recreate your future, but you cannot change your past. So you have to learn from it to make your life better in the current time.
Awesome. So the next question is, what is women and motherhood about?
Well, women and motherhood are two things. There are women who cannot be a mother. You understand?
Yeah, could you explain a little more?
Okay. Motherhood is your ability to be able to give, to nurture. And motherhood is your ability to look beyond. So the mother is able to, how would I say it? Mothers would always sacrifice or give, look at the benefit, look at the potential of a child. But not all women are capable of doing that. There are women who are only good as, as a woman, but they cannot, or they are not capable of mothering or nurturing another human being.
Why not?
That's what it means.
Yeah, why not?
There are many factors. Yeah, there are many factors to that. It's either experience as well, or because mothering is a maternal instinct that is present, whether you are a male or a female. Because when you say mothering, that means nurturance, your ability to take care of another human being. Men also have that. That's why when you become a father, you are able to nurture your child. A woman becomes a mother. Motherhood is your ability to nurture. But there are those who are unable to do that for different reasons in life. It's either they do have traumatic experiences in life that alter their ability or capacity to become a nurturing person.
Okay, I want a little more explanation about why some women cannot be mothers?
Well, there's another reason for that is physically become a mother is because they cannot bear a child. They have either physiological or physical deficiencies. Also, women who are incapable of doing that because of career choices, life choices. So, in the modern times, that's our issue now.
So my question is, for a woman, can it be a legitimate choice to not be a mother?
Yes, there are other women who do not wish to have a child.
No, my question is
But
not
I would always say
about
it's nice.
wish. Yeah, Maria, sorry for my question. Yeah, my question is not about women wishing to live this or that. My question is it a legitimate question that a woman can decide, okay, I will not be a mother?
Legitimate, you say.
Yeah,
So is it legitimate for a woman
yeah,
not to be a mother?
yeah, exactly.
Being a mother is built in every woman, but some women will choose not to be a mother.
So the question is, do the women have the right to choose not to be mothers?
I think that's a personal answer for every woman to make because there are women who will not choose to be a mother.
Yeah, I understand that and I respect that.
You want to ask me if it is a legitimate thing? I would
Yeah.
like to give that right to women who choose not to be a common mother.
So my yeah,
I
yeah.
know, I know, because what I'm actually um, advancing is for women to become mothers, but I think not everybody is into that particular kind of thinking.
So my question is like, if there is a couple or two people in a relationship and suddenly the woman decides, okay, I will not be a mother. What should the man decide in this case? Like, is it her right not to be a mother, so he sticks with the relationship with the building in the home, or should he search for another opportunity where he can achieve his natural being to be a father? That's my question.
All right, let me answer it from two different ways. First, religion and culture and tradition will take part there. Okay, there are certain religions or traditions who will encourage having a family, building a family, and I do appreciate that. But there are also women in the current times who would rather have just a relationship without having a child or children. In that case, it falls to the other book, the art of sex, because relationships are established between two people. There should be a mutual agreement and harmony. If one does not agree, I mean the wife or the partner does not want to have a child, and the other one, I mean the man wants to have a child, then that is a big question whether you want to further the relationship or not. Because a relationship, as I said, is a commitment of two people. That is where the challenge is in most relationships when there is a disparity or disagreement in where you would want to lead your relationship. Because being together would always mean having a child. But there are modern couples now who have a different concept of what a family is. So the challenge is for the couple to decide whether they want to go further on without being able to agree on one thing.
Okay, I'll take it from here and then we'll move to the next question. Yeah. So
You cannot put two people together and they don't agree on something because they will always argue or fight over it. So I think it is always important that the decision should be done by two people. If there is no collective decision, I think there is disaster heading So that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's quite a debate here, but let's move to the next question. So we speak about socialized learning. What do you mean by that?
Socialized learning is when you allow children, like for example, music, you teach it as a social learning wherein you incorporate, um, it's not a linear experience, it is a collective experience. So for example, children learn music as a group. So the child learns how to be conscious of the next child beside her. So for example, the child does not sing in the right pitch, then you become more conscious of the next person beside you. So you tend to help, and it becomes a socialized learning because you act and think collectively.
How does that help the children?
It makes them aware and sensitive of the next person beside you. And it makes you aware of the group effort, collective effort as a community or as a orchestra. You have to move together. It is not based on I, but we think in terms of we.
But later on in life, they will depend on the I more than the we.
Yes, but it is supposed to be I and we. Both things have to exist in us.
Okay. What is positive enhancement?
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Okay. That is when you affirm or focus more on the positive things that the child can do rather than focusing on the um, lesser abilities of the child. So when you bring the child in a class, you will affirm first what he can do and you work with him the things that he cannot do. For example, if the child is good in mathematics, support the child in that. And if the child is not so good in the arts, support her by helping her develop the necessary skills. So it's not because when you keep on telling the child that you're bad in this, you're not good in this, the tendency is to focus on the negativity. So what you do is you focus on the affirmative first, then help the child develop the necessary skills to improve on which one he is low.
But let me ask you this, like usually the students and their parents would always focus on the areas where they suffer, not the areas where they excel.
Yes, that is common. We always think of where you are lacking behind. But in teaching children, it is faster for the child if you give them first on what they are good at, then followed by what they need to improve on. Because if you exchange it, you focus more on the negative or what has to be improved, then all of his efforts and energy will be drained on doing, undoing, and perfecting that, leaving behind something that he is already good with. So it's just a matter of balancing and prioritizing. You prioritize that which the child is good at, followed by something that he is not much good, but you have to assist him until such time he is able to develop the necessary skills.
Okay. What is the creative approach?
Creative approach is simply focusing on what the child can do.
And why not focus on what the child cannot do?
Because that can be done, that can be fixed. When the child is able to know, you have to help the child identify what are the good things he can do because it is easier for him. He, on his own way, can make up for what he is not good with.
Okay, according to the educationalists like Vygotsky and others, we usually try to push the learners or the students outside their comfort zone. And then your approach mainly focuses on reinforcing and enhancing the positives or the strong areas of the students. Where do you push them outside their comfort zone?
As you push them to perfect their craft, you're already pushing them towards the outside of the comfort zone. Comfort zone may be defined differently from different educational standpoints. When you push the child to perfect what he is already good at, you're pushing him forward outside of his comfort zone. So, for example, the child is able to do, let's take one subject. Okay, let's go for painting. So, if, for example, the child is already good with doing brush strokes, you can push him forward by asking him to do the same brush stroke but different media. If he can do it better with acrylic, move on with oil. And if he's already good with oil, then ask him to do with charcoal. So you're pushing him forward in the same line, and still you're pushing him beyond his comfort zone by being able to skillfully metamorphose from one skill to other. That means from from acrylic to oil to charcoal. These are different medias that require different skills.
Would you use the same approach with the skills that the child has or is good at, the same as the skills that the child suffers at?
Clarify your question.
I mean, okay, for the skill that the child has, you would support him, you would change the media that he's using. So he's usually in his the area that he likes. So you push him forward. What about the areas
Yes.
where he suffers? Do you follow the same strategy?
Yes, it should be. You help him move forward. For example, let's talk about mathematics. So there are many different branches of mathematics. You have the calculating, you have the probabilities, you have geometry for probability, you have trigonometry and all this stuff. These are all within the context of mathematics. But these are all different branches of mathematics. So for example, if a child is good with probabilities, that's geometry, help him to develop more about that. But to balance his skills with probability, you also give him something that has to do with calculating that will help balance his skills. Not everything probability, not just theorems in probability in geometry. You give them other things also so that the skill of the child is balanced between probabilities and realities, calculating.
Let's move to another area. What is the art of caring about?
The art of caring is the role of spirituality in hospital care. So it means to say that there are patients, that book is specifically for intensive care unit nurses or healthcare professionals dealing with end of life patients. So when I talk about end of life patients, these are patients who are already terminally ill or they are at the end stage of their diseases or their own health condition. For example, there are patients who are given 30 days, 40 days, 6 months to a year before they possibly die. So what would you do with these patients? What is the role of spirituality, which means to see beyond the health condition, is to help the patient be able to find closure in everything that he is doing, find meaning in the last stage, so that when he finally reaches the end point, he is at the stage or at the point that he has accepted that it's his demise.
So your books mainly, you said art of caring, art of dying, and art. Art is usually usually linked with enjoyment, fun, relaxation. How would you explain your use of the word art in the context of death?
Okay, art is an expression. Art is an art means expression. An expression of a person, an expression of a culture, an expression. It's a gesture. Art is a gesture. So it can either be a happy thing or a sad thing. So when you say art, it's simply an expression.
So basically you cancel our ideas that art is about fun.
No, it's not just about fun. It's about everything else because it is an expression. What I'm trying to do is expand the idea of art. So when I say...
Yeah, go ahead, Maria, please.
So when I say art of sex, which means a man and a woman will express affection in two different ways. That's why art of sex. Art is an expression of both a man and a woman. When I say art in caring, how do you help somebody? Or what are the artistic ways? Or what is your expression in helping somebody to die? So art is in my book. I'm just trying to expand the idea of art as an expression, not just for fun, but it is an expression of everything.
So you mean that art is expressing something, but in a sophisticated way, in a well-structured way, something like that?
Art does not, art is art. Art is expression. It does not have a specific thing. It only takes its form. For example, in my next book, the art called death. It means to say, what are the different expressions of people when it comes to death? So for that book is written um, based on the Filipino culture. So during prehistory, the Filipino people, they express death in many different ways. So one of which is they put the dead inside a jar. One of which is they put the dead in the boat. They allow the boat to travel. So they place the dead body facing the north, facing the sea. So that is their expression of death during that time. Art, that's how they express or understand death at that time. But at this more present moment, the expression called death means the expression of every culture about death. So I do have a friend. He is an imam. He is also a Muslim and a Filipino. And we talk about how do Muslim people understand or express death, how they bury the dead. So that is their expression. But they are still Filipino, but the difference in expression is still an expression that has to be respected and appreciated. The other older ancient Filipino belief is when we wrap the dead and hang them in the tree, which we don't do it anymore at this time. You won't like to see a dead body hanging in the tree. But during the ancient time, that is one of the beliefs. That is an expression. That is an artistic way of burying the dead. They think that the baby should be hung in the tree when they die because they're not supposed to touch the ground.
Oh, wow, that's,
So that's
yeah,
the
that's,
I also mentioned in that book that among the ancient cultures or traditions in Asia, we tend to bury the dead up in the mountain because we believe that the mountain is a gateway to heaven. That is common in most Asian cultures.
okay. Well, what other inspirational ways of expressing this have
And
you
I also,
come through? Yeah.
yes, I mentioned in that book that what is the implication of death in the building of communities and society?
Mm-hmm.
How did the experience of death build communities from antiquity to the present time? For example, for the present time, it is changing the concept of death within the Filipino culture. We Filipinos are very much a touchy culture, touchy. We like to touch each other. We like to hug each other. We like to kiss each other. Say, hello, moi.
Okay.
Now, with the advent of the pandemic, the COVID, you have your social distancing, right?
Okay.
You have your physical distancing. Now, most of the people who have relatives who died in the hospital would receive their relatives already cremated in an urn,
Mm-hmm.
in a jar.
Yeah.
So this is very crucial for most Filipinos because they tend to cling to the person. I mean, to the thought that the body is still there, then the person is there. Now, when the hospital tells you claim the body in the mortuary, in the crematorium, it is devastating for most Filipinos to get your relative in a jar. So yeah, still, how we react, how we think about it is an expression of a culture who loves dearly to be touched and touching people. So yeah, it's changing a lot of things.
Sure. Let's go to your
Mm.
own education and growth. Who was your mentor?
Um, as far as I could remember, my first mentor was my own grandmother. At the age of 4, I can recite the multiplication tables in ascending and descending order by memory. So I was good in math.
Okay.
And it was my grandmother who taught me that. She was a very good teacher, and she was very supportive. We would work
Mhm.
on what I was good at, followed by the things that I am not quite expert with. She gives me the chance to experiment and to learn and to bring back to her what I have done with what I cannot do. Then from my grandmother, my other mentors were the dean of the College of Music. She is Sister Catalina Ledesma. She was the one who was able to identify how good I was at music at the time. At the age of 13, I was able to perform solo with an orchestra, and I was the youngest student in the graduate school for music. I was 13, 14, and I was taking high subjects in music along with the graduate students in the College of Music. Then at the age of 16, I was already associate in music, which means it's almost a degree. And I can play 7 instruments. That means I play the piano, the violin, the organ, marimba, banduria. Banduria is a traditional Filipino instrument. I play the classical guitar. And the last one is I do play the recorder, which is a wind instrument. So I play 7 instruments all in all. Then after that, my next mentor would be Dr. Paras Perez. He is a national artist for painting. I did not have any formal lessons on painting, but he took me in as a, as a student, and I was working with other national artists. But the most significant person in my artistic learning is Dr. Paras Perez. He is a national artist after Sister Catalina. Then my other mentor would be, she is a nurse. She is a former board of examiner of the nursing education. Her name is Sister Natividad Asuncion. She was the one who encouraged me to write some more and to put everything that I experiment or think about into writing. So when I finished my master's in nursing, I was able to write 18 books for teaching medical surgical nursing, and it was recommended for publication. So those are my, my first mentor was my grandmother. She was a very good teacher, and she was the one who, what do you call this? She was the one who influenced me a lot on how I think. She has given me all the space to be creative enough in my line of expertise. Followed by the Dean of Music, Sister Catalina Ledesma, who nurtured my artistic inclination for music. Then after her is Professor and Dr. Rodolfo Paras Perez. He is a national artist and a painter. And followed by Sister Natividad Asuncion, who is the board of nursing. She was the one who inspired me to write. And of course, I do have my loving dad who would always ask me, "What have you finished writing, my dear daughter?" So even if he's not around, I would always write my stories and he would be the one to check on my stories. I would read my stories to him. So yes, these are though they are my mentors.
Fantastic. Can you show us one of your drawings?
Um, that's one of my paintings.
Yeah. Okay. Could you explain it?
Okay, hang on. I was walking in the park and then I saw this small plant on the side. And I said, "It's a very nice one. It's a round flower. It's one of the most common plants that you will find in the park."
Mhm.
And when I saw the plant, I said, "Let me look at it." Actually, when I painted it, nobody recognized it, but it's one of the most common flowers in the park. I'll send you a picture so you can see the real plant and that painting where I got the inspiration.
Yeah. Have you ever sold some of your paintings?
I haven't sold any of my paintings, but then my paintings are now on exhibit on the Filipino Art, and you will find it there. And most of my paintings are donated in children's hospitals. So you will find my paintings in children's schools and in hospitals for children. And I'm doing it for the children so that they have something to look at while they're waiting in the hospital, where they're playing or whatever they're doing.
Fantastic. Let's go to your singing. We need you to sing sometime. Just a short part.
I actually went to the church this morning and I asked them, "Can you do something for me?" And I said, "I'm doing a short video with a professor from Egypt." And I told him, "Can you can you play the organ for me?" Right after the ceremony, I was up there and I asked them, can you give me just a little bit of space to sing?" So yeah, I did the short video and I'm sending it after this. You'll find it.
Okay. So let's speak about your awards. What awards have you won?
Uh, which award? From grade school, high school, college, or the latest?
Everything.
All right. In grade school, I did have excellence and excellence for social service and leadership. This award is given to students who like to participate and help in social activities like helping other children, volunteering to be with groups who attend to children. And that was my first award in grade school. Alongside, I did receive an excellence for music. So that's the first award I had. Two rather, excellence for social service and leadership, and excellence for music. Then in high school, I maintained my awards in social commitment and social leadership. So I still maintained that excellence. And then I had my excellent award for music, and that's for piano and music. Then what else? Yeah. When I got into college, I was given an excellent award for eloquence in speaking and in writing. And since I transferred from one school to another, I am not qualified to have an academic honor, but I am a dean's lister. which means I am an honor student. I do excel in most of my academics, but because one of the requirements to be able to get a summa cum laude in the university, you should be able to stay for 4 years. And I am not able to do that because I spend most of my time traveling, visiting my parents, so I am always out of the country. Then I do have a series of appreciation, certificate of appreciation for being able to advance the welfare of children. So I've been working with special needs special needs children. And at the age of 24, I already gained my space or my niche in writing because I've been writing about the importance of education, the importance of child rearing. And most of my writings have been published in a local paper, which students would normally collect. Then after that, I had to stop because I went into medical school. Then after which I was again recognized by the different colleges that I've been teaching for being able to assist my students, and that's still for social commitment and leadership. And lately, I've been recognized as one of the 10 outstanding teachers in the Philippines who have. I gave my lecture in the University of Santo Tomas, and that was in celebration of the outstanding teachers in the Philippines in their respective area of expertise. So mine is on the arts. Then I was also recognized for writing the book, The Arts and the Creation, which focuses on the development of the child, the importance of storytelling, and the development of the child as a whole. And I am still doing the same work, what I've been doing for a long, long time. I've been helping children. I give them counseling, and I used to have my own clinic before, but I decided to reach out to kids. I've been to other countries visiting institutions who care for the children. And for a long, long time, I've been with the missionaries of charity, helping them and being with them in some of their activities.
Awesome.
And I also help with the Guanelian sisters who look after special needs children. That's all.
Fantastic. What else would you like to say, Maria?
I would like to say that, number one, let's give our children a beautiful childhood. That's all.
That's it?
That's it.
It has been more than a pleasure talking to you, Maria, today. Thank you so much indeed for your time and for your great input.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll be hosting a free webinar about storytelling in children, and it's going to be in my website, and I'll be sharing the site with you. And for those who would like to attend and to listen or to follow that particular lecture, please do.
What is your website?
marialourdesdevera.com.
Awesome.